At the crossroads of his passion and his profession, Maricopa resident and Deputy City Manager Ben Bitter found his lane in NASCAR.
It's an adrenaline sport. It brings that extra boost of adrenaline.
While thousands of fans cheered from the stands last weekend at the Phoenix Speedway, Bitter found himself down the track as part of a pit crew. It's a job he's done before, but this race was a little extra special for Bitter and for the city of Maricopa. All thanks to Car 48 and Bitter's passion to always tout his Maricopa pride off the clock. Its driver Brad Smith and Bitter go way back when Smith found out Nissan's proving grounds were in Maricopa. They came up with an idea to use Smith's car as an engine to pay homage to the city.
Let's put the logos on the car. Let's make this something special and something that the citizens of Maricopa can be proud of.
Sponsorships are a big deal in the racing community, and companies pay big bucks to have their logo on a car. This was at no cost to the city, just out of the goodness of Smith's heart.
In order for these drivers to run it all, to be able to afford much of anything within the racing world, they have to have those sponsors.
Though Smith didn't place where he'd like to, Bitter says Smith's gesture may have helped Maricopa's pole position in the eyes of the area and country.
We are moving fast, we are going places, and we're not just going to slow down and pull aside for other people. We're moving forward.
He hopes a few more people will make a pit stop in Maricopa as a result. Welcome back to the program where the questions are answers and the answers don't stop. It's Maricopa's favorite game show, Permit or Not. I'm your host, Luis Villa, and I'd like to remind our viewers today that if you have any questions regarding any of the categories today, please leave them in the comments below. Now let's take a look at the board. The categories today are City Services, do I need a permit for that? What's being developed? City Events, Library, and Roads. Bob, why don't you lead things off for us?
Thank you, Luis. I'll take a, do I need a permit for that for 200?
I would like to pour a slab of concrete in my backyard. Do I need a permit for that?
What is no?
That is correct. Slabs or pavers in your backyard are up to the owner's discretion. However, any work being done in the front yard, you'll need to contact your HOA.
I'll take permits for 600.
My pool needs to be drained. Do I need a permit for that?
Yes. I mean, what is yes? What is no?
That is correct. Pro tip, if you're looking to drain the water in your pool, you'll find 2 black water conduits in the front of your home. One of them leads directly to sewage. Plug it in and you're ready to begin draining. However, you'll need to contact Global Water first, as the pool water needs to be of a specific pH level before you can begin the draining. So that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tune in next time to Permit or Not, and until then, feel free to visit www.maricopa-az.gov for all of your questions regarding city events, permits, and more. Or leave us a comment below and we'll be sure to get back to you. A lot of people have been wondering just what's in store for this big plot of land. And after the overpass opened, it's become a popular topic of discussion for many investors. Well, we're happy to share that preliminary designs have been submitted for the new Maricopa Station and is slated for mixed-use development featuring space for a variety of businesses and homes. Right now, Maricopa businesses miss out on millions of dollars in retail sales as customers shop outside the city. And this development is just another important piece of the puzzle to keep those dollars here, benefiting our businesses.
This is the first set of potential developments that we hope to see more to come within this area, because this is just a small portion of the totality of about 40 acres, where this is only 27 acres that's being proposed. There's still 20 acres south of Honeycutt Avenue that hasn't been spoken for. But this is great news for the city to see some interest now as we start to see more development south of the overpass area. The shopping center is proposed for about 180 to 200,000 square feet of retail in itself. But keep in mind that this is still just a pre-application. There's nothing set in stone at this time. These just has potential developers that's interested in the land in response to the city's recent rezoning of the land from what it was before, Pinell County zoning, industrial and some commercial, to now a shopping center type zoning that gives it more flexibility and opportunities for this type of development pattern in itself.
Another milestone moment for the new Maricopa Police Headquarters. Over the weekend, crews poured the foundation for the future home of our men and women in blue. This administration building and emergency communications center will accommodate the force that will continue to set the bar on safety for Maricopa's rapidly growing population. Here's another sign of our growth. It's time for a new traffic signal on Smith Inc. The road was just widened to 2 lanes last year, and already with the increase in traffic in that area, our Public Works team identified the need for additional safety measures. They just got to work installing a 4-way traffic signal light at the corner of Chase Drive and Homestead Drive. The project is scheduled to be completed later this year. For more news around your city, be sure to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our weekly newsletter at maricopa-az.gov/newsletter.
Hey there, Maricopa. This is Maria Poor. I am one of the Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee members for the City of Maricopa. And here today we have one of our local artists creating one of the beautiful signal box portraits. I'm here today with artist Veronica Lichtenstein, who created this beautiful mural. Veronica, what does this represent for you?
This is, when I was thinking about Maricopa and the kind of box I would want to paint, I just started to think about like what's one of the main activities that like people in my neighborhood do, and me and my daughter go bike riding all the time, especially around Halloween and Christmas time to look at all the displays and to enjoy the weather during that season. So I wanted to make a mural of a joyful bike ride, and that's what it is. It's a blissful joy ride. This is part of our Super Bloom, and this is actually this street on Honeycutt, which was just like a month ago, was all blown up with these yellow trees and the green pieces out there. So it's just one of my favorites because it reminds me of the amount of fun times we had together going bike riding every night.
And this piece directly represents you and your family life and your family together. Describe that for us.
Absolutely. Like we love going on bike rides and going around the neighborhoods. We love getting picnics. We'll pick up Chipotle and then we'll just, find a spot under a tree and just hang out. And it's one of those things where she'll want to do it every night and she gets to talk about the end of her day and open up, and it's just a really fun event for us to do. And I think as I've been doing this piece and bike riders have come by, it's been fun to see families together see this and feel like they're being captured from Maricopa.
What does it mean to you to have this gorgeous public artwork up in your city?
Just the world. I'm so excited. I'm excited to have seeing the 9 other pieces that are going to be out there, just to see what everybody has and everybody's unique fingerprint and art, and seeing what they're going to come up with. I'm just excited to see more of this throughout the city because I think it just really brings out the community to life.
It does. Thank you so much for being a part of our public art initiative here in the city of Maricopa. Thank you so much for gifting our community with your talents. It's beautiful and something that people can really enjoy and last a really long time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey Maricopa, I'm Quinn Knoll, the Communications and Cultural Services Director. We're here today taking another look at the bridge that's going across the Santa Rosa Wash. This is part of the Sonoran Desert Parkway project, and I'm joined here by Carrie Osborne, the CIP Project Manager. Carrie, as you've been overseeing this, it seems like we were here just a few days ago or a couple weeks ago, but man, in a short amount of time, there's been a lot of changes here. Tell us about this stage that we're at.
Sure, Quinn. We've made quite a bit of progress. Since the last time we were here, we were working on the abutments and the center pier for the bridge, but now we've even started to install the girders. We've got about half of them in place right now. We have 20 of them to install total. They each weigh about 90,000 pounds, so it takes 2 cranes to lift them and to put them into proper position. After we get those installed by this weekend, then we'll begin to do the formwork and build the deck, which is what people will actually drive across. That'll be our next step for it. So we're well underway to completing the bridge over the wash.
Now, people that live in Santa Rosa Springs, they know the importance of this, but for the rest of the city, they might not realize how important this is, that normally and traditionally when it's rained, it's been a problem for people that lived in this neighborhood.
Yeah, anytime the wash flows with any velocity at all, we have to close the gates and shut the road down, which means that there's only one way in and out, and that's across the railroad tracks. So if a train is blocking the tracks, it makes it difficult, you know, for the emergency vehicles to get in and out. So having a bridge over the wash means that there'll be 24-hour, you know, constant access into the subdivision for those people that live in Santa Rosa Springs.
So after the girders are installed, next it's time to hit the deck, right?
Next time is to hit the deck.
There you go. Now we're live. Now that we've had our call to order, we are going to have our invocation given by Commissioner Irving and our Pledge of Allegiance given by Commissioner Robertson. All rise, please.
Dear Father, thank you for another day, and let us rejoice in the day you've given us. Be with us, keep us blessed, keep us strong as we go about your business. And as we debate and talk, let us always remember that we may have different opinions, different views, but we are still all your children, and we will work together as you taught us to do. We ask all this in your wonderful name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have our roll call, please?
Commissioner Juarez.
Here.
Commissioner Singleton.
Here.
Vice Chair Robertson.
Here.
Chair Yoakum.
Here.
Commissioner Irving.
Here.
Commissioner LaFall. Commissioner Hughes. Chair Yoakum, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Call to the public. If you wish to speak, please complete a speaker card and submit it to the chairman prior to the start of the meeting. The procedures to follow if you address the commission are: commission requests that you express your ideas in 5 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory comments or statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The chairman will limit discussion whenever he deems such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. I don't have any speaker cards. Does anyone want to submit a speaker card? Does anyone want to take advantage of the call to the public at this time? If not, I'm going to close the call to the public. However, when we do get to our regular agenda items, after each item has been presented and discussed, if you would like to make a comment in the spirit of the call to the public, we will do so. Minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
We have a Commissioner Irving, Commissioner LaFall second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 on the agenda. 5.1 ZON 23-02, Public Hearing Zone 23-03, a request by the City of Maricopa for review and approval of zoning map amendments to the Mixed-Use Heritage Overlay District. This is for discussion and action.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Rick Williams. I'm with the Planning Department here at City of Maricopa. And I'm here to talk to you tonight about two map amendments. One to the Mixed-Use Heritage District and the other to the Transportation Corridor Overlay. Chairman, if it please the Commission, I'm going to combine both of these into one presentation, and then it'll require separate action at the end of the presentation. Thank you. So let's start with the Mixed-Use Heritage District. If I could direct your attention to the exhibit on the right there, everything you see outlined in blue is the current version of the Heritage Overlay District. And just for a little contextual context, I just said that twice, I would direct your attention to the top of the map where you see West Edison Road, and it stretches south down just past Honeycutt Avenue there to the south. John Wayne Boulevard bisects it north to south. More specifically, and I would just point out there that there are really three residential neighborhoods that are associated with the Mixed-Use Heritage District, and I've outlined those with the circles. The circles are not exact, but it gives you a rough idea of where the three different residential development or residential neighborhoods are. So the Mixed-Use Heritage was approved by Council in January of 2015, and really what it sought to do was promote infill development with a focus on a mix of residential and retail uses, designed at creating really a vibrant pedestrian mixed-use neighborhood. More specifically, it was designed to be consistent with the redevelopment area plan. With respect to context of the Heritage District itself, what it did was it really relaxed development standards. And what do I mean by that? So it provided some leeway with respect to building setbacks, building heights. It reduced parking and landscape requirements. It created its own set of building design guidelines for future development in the Heritage District. But probably most importantly, what it did was it expanded and limited permitted uses within that district. And so the question is, well, what exactly do we mean by that? Well, from a residential standpoint, it expanded commercial and retail uses that were allowed in a residential district. And what I mean by limited permitted uses is from a commercial standpoint, it actually kind of restricted them when you look and compare the two zoning districts. And we're going to come back to that in just a moment. But I think it's important to note that although we're talking merely tonight about revising some lines on a map, we are not changing the requirements of the Heritage District in any way whatsoever. So with respect to the revisions, we're looking to remove specific commercial parcels from the mixed-use heritage overlay. I've outlined those in yellow, and what you see is they're predominantly north of the railroad tracks along John Wayne Boulevard and south of the railroad tracks along John Wayne Boulevard. So over the years, what I would say is that north of the railroad tracks has already developed in a commercial manner. It's already there, it's set. Recently, Planning Commission and Council approved an ordinance that rezoned a bulk of land south of the railroad tracks, better known as the Maricopa Station, and we rezoned that to general commercial for future development to clean it all up and get it ready to go. I think it's important to note that the residential portions remain unchanged. There's not a single residence in this revision that we're requesting this evening that has been removed from the Heritage District overlay. And again, I would just point out that we're not changing any of the requirements that are associated with the mixed-use heritage. We're just revising lines on the map. But more than anything, what it does is it really does, it eliminates conflicting requirements that essentially we have out there right now. And probably the best way to show that is to take a look at the current zoning map. And if you look up and down, north-south there along John Wayne Parkway, you can see that it's all zoned commercial, whether it be the old county commercial or the new city general commercial zoning. And when you drop in the boundaries that we're looking at removing, then it makes total sense in what the request is this evening. And probably the best example is in the lower right-hand corner, that pie-shaped piece. You know, that was recently rezoned to general commercial, shopping center, and mixed use. Well, the portions of the general commercial big box and the shopping center would not be permitted in the mixed-use heritage overlay. So that's when we talk about conflicting zoning, that's what we're talking about. And as I've said already a number of times, it aligns with the redevelopment plan. So I just kind of wanted to put up there and show just how compatible the two maps are now once we make these changes. And the other thing I wanted to do was just kind of give you a heads up. When we're talking about the redevelopment plan, it's a plan required by the state and the federal authorities for the city to access community development block grant funding for infrastructure and public purposes. So we're in the process, Derek Shear, one of our planners, we're in the process of updating that redevelopment plan. It'll be going through the public process here in the next couple of months. So you're going to see that come back down. So we really did two things. We cleared up some zoning conflicts that we had, and we've revised the map to be, 99% compatible with the redevelopment area plan. So that is the emphasis behind the mixed-use heritage request this evening. So moving on, the transportation corridor overlay is a little simpler in that same directives here. It was approved by council. It created an appropriate mix of activities to enhance the transportation corridor. It's got a limited boundary in that it only extends 150 feet on both sides of the transportation corridor. It also has some limited permitted uses. And again, the vision remains the same for this. We're not requesting any changes to the contents of the transportation corridor overlay. However, when the overpass was completed in 2019, they relocated that right-of-way, 300 to 500 feet west. And as we saw on the previous map, the overlay essentially wasn't compatible with it any longer. So there are no other proposed changes to it. The overlay is consistent with the alignment. And again, we're not changing any of the provisions of the overlay itself, just the alignment here. With respect to public outreach, public comment was posted on the 25th of May, 27th newspaper notification went out. We had a neighborhood meeting on this June 14th at the Copper Sky. We had 16 to 20 individuals show up for that meeting. It was a really good meeting, very enjoyable. The notes are captured in the citizen participation plan. There was no objection to the request this evening. I have had several phone calls since then. I can say every phone call that I had were individuals that were outside the mixed-use heritage, but within the notification distance. And once they realized, here's where I live, okay, you're outside, no effect on your property whatsoever. We've had no negative input, and as of this afternoon, I've had no additional correspondence or conversation with anyone. That being said, staff is recommending approval of both map amendments before you this evening. Again, Chairman, I would just note that each application requires a separate public hearing, motion, and action. That concludes my presentation this evening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Okay, since we did have a presentation which covered both items 5.1 and 5.2, I'm going to open the public hearing on ZON 23-03, and I would appreciate our confining our questions to it and not going back down into ZON 23-04. And I'm going to read it again. Public hearing ZON 23-03, a request by the City of Maricopa for review and approval of zoning map amendments to the Mixed-Use Heritage Overlay District, and this is for discussion and action. Commissioners? Commissioner Singleton? I'm sorry, we're opening the public hearing. Can I leave the public hearing open until we're completely done, or because once we've had Manager Williams' presentation, we're going to have comments and questions by the commission, and I think that anybody who might want to come up for the call to the public would benefit from hearing both presentations.
Mr. Chair, if I might, so are you asking if you can leave the public hearing open while there's questions being asked of the?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine, as long as you close the public hearing before there's action taken.
Okay. Because after the commissioners have had all their comments and questions, if we do have anyone who would like to come up and take advantage of the public hearing aspect, they would have the benefit of those discussions. Okay. Okay, commissioners. Vice Chair Robinson.
Rick, could you go back to the very first slide? That one. While you said there's really no major changes, there's two terms in here that I just want clarification on: relaxed development standard and reduced parking and landscape requirements. What does relaxed and reduced mean in relation to this?
Chairman Yocum, Vice Chair, essentially we have a parking ratio that is standard for the city, and I'm just going to throw out an example of, some commercial retail maybe 1 to 300, other commercial retail maybe 1 to every 100. They vary from. So what this did was it reduced that parking requirement so that on-street parking was available. So instead of, due to on-street, the site maybe only would require to have 6 sites instead of 10. Without having the exact square footage of what we're looking at and knowing what the business is, I can't tell you exactly what that number is. But it reduced it so that you could take advantage of on-street parking, and that because most of the lots in the mixed-use area are rather small, if they had to meet traditional parking requirements, it would eliminate any development on site.
Very good, thank you. And the reduced landscape requirements.
Yeah, typically, what we're talking, not every development has curb gutter sidewalk in these areas. So it does reduce some of the standards that are required as far as planning specific numbers of quantities. Again, because we're dealing with lots that are very small in nature, if you have to meet, say, for example, a 10 or 15% open space requirement that's landscaped, it eats up all the developable area of an area, of a lot. That's what I meant to say.
Thank you.
Commissioner Singleton?
Can you go to I think it's the next map that shows the zoning with like commercial,
you want
this one. So on West Edison Road, are those two, I guess, top left, are those still CB2? Because those, I think there's multifamily rental units. And did that not get rezoned when, I think it's before my time, but.
Chairman Yocum, Commissioner Singleton, excellent question. And the answer to that is actually, no, sir, they did not get rezoned. And the reason they didn't get rezoned was because the mixed-use heritage district allows the multifamily. Now, And so that's what allowed it to go. So technically, they would become a legal non-conforming use, which is not a big, it's a brand new development going up. You know, that's going to be there for the next 30 to 50 years, in which case, you know, we will probably have amended this code section and certainly the redevelopment plan and the Heritage District multiple times before we get there. But let's just say, for sake of argument, 10 years from now, they wanted to tear it down and build something else. They would just have to rezone the property.
Cool. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Commissioner Juarez?
Yeah, I just had one question, just for clarification. We're looking at relaxing the standards in those lots that are going to be used by potential businesses. What type of small businesses are we looking at that could occupy those lots?
That's a good question, Chairman Yoakum, Commissioner Juarez. I think probably the best practical application of this that I've seen is in downtown Phoenix. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that area, but right off of Central and Roosevelt, there are lots of perfect examples of what this can be. For example, it is not uncommon to see an attorney's office next to a home, next to a coffee shop. Okay. It's right there on First Avenue or Roosevelt and Central, and it's all over the place down there. That same type of vision is exactly what the mixed-use heritage intends to accomplish. The one thing I would say is that takes time. You know, they've been working at that in Phoenix for 40 plus years. You know, this is 9 years old and we're, you know, amending it for the first time. So I think as things start to happen around it, and the Maricopa station may be a big key to it, you know, the future, then you'll start to see that stuff come along. But the standards are in place to allow that to happen now.
So in addition to that, would we be looking at, because I think I'm familiar with the area you're talking about in Phoenix, these little small mom and pop eateries, would that be something that would work in this type of area?
Very much so.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Commissioner Hughes? Any questions? Commissioner LaFalle? No. Commissioner Irving?
Yeah, it's sort of a follow-up on the future, maybe looking down the road. I'm especially interested in the station area, that Maricopa, that whole area. Now, will this allow, because there's still some houses in there, right?
Correct.
I guess I was just wondering if that would disallow for the small mom and pop shop, maybe living above. I guess I was just, I thought it was. I guess I was just wondering if it still left the flexibility to do that, because that's such a really neat area with potential, is all.
Chairman Yoakum, Commissioner Irving, excellent question, and very much so.
Okay.
Live and work environment is very much, it's kind of part of the core of the heritage,
Right, that's what I thought.
mixed-use heritage, and that's still intact. And a perfect example of that is New Coffee over there across from the high school.
Yeah, right.
It's doing very, very well.
Right.
They live above it, they work below it,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, that's where we're trying to go.
Outstanding.
Okay, before we take our vote, can we have our call to see if anybody from the public would like to come up to the podium? If not, we'll close that aspect of our discussions, and I'm going to ask for a motion.
Yeah, it's all three.
We're discussing item 5.1 on the agenda, ZON 23-03.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner LaFalle and seconded by Commissioner Irving. Any further discussion? If no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, 5.2, ZON 23-04, and I think we'll go the same way on this one as we did the previous. Public hearing ZON 23-04, a request by the City of Maricopa for review and approval of zoning map amendments to the Transportation Corridor Overlay District. Discussion and action.
Chairman Yocum, members of the commission, I've already made that presentation. If there are any additional questions that you have of me, I'll be happy to answer those.
Okay. So any questions? No questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Hold tight.
Mr. Chair, if I might, this is again another public hearing.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We still have the public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to come up and make any comments in the spirit of the public hearing? If not, we'll close that aspect of the meeting and we will seek a motion.
Move it. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hughes, seconded by Commissioner Irving. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to our next item, 5.3 TXT 23-03, public hearing TXT 23-03 text amendment, a request by the City of Maricopa for review and approval of a proposed text amendment to the City of Maricopa zoning code, section 18.05.060, introductory provisions, section 18.95.050, prohibitions, section 18.120.240, group homes, section 18.140.160, interpretations, section 18.160, variances, and section 18.205.020, definitions. This is for discussion and action. And Manager Williams, you're going to give us our presentation?
Yes, Rick Williams here again, and I would just apologize for having to put that mouthful of all those sections. Gosh, what we have here, y'all, is a little bit of housekeeping, and I apologize for being back before you. But recently, on April 4th, we made some changes to our code, essentially eliminating the Board of Adjustments and replacing that with a hearing officer. We thought we had gotten all the sections within the code. When we sent it off to the folks that write our code and verify our code and check it, we're back with, there were a few references that we missed. And so I've listed those section by section in the staff report. I have them all before you this evening. I'm not going to read every one of these to you. What I would state that is in each one of these sections outlined above, we changed it from Board of Adjustment to hearing officer. Chairman Yocum, that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Okay. Do the commissioners have any questions, concerns? The public, the public hearing is still open.
Technically, you need to open
Pardon?
it, sir. Technically, you need to open it.
Okay, let's open the public hearing, and we'll have the commissioners' discussion first, and then we'll see if anybody from the public is going to join us. Any comments or questions? No? Okay, since the public hearing is still open, does anybody want to come up and have any comments on TXT 23-03? If not, we're going to close the public hearing. If there's no further discussion, do we have a motion? Okay, Commissioner LaFawn made the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Singleton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Reports from the commission and or staff.
Thank you, Chairman Yocum, members of the commission. First things first, just like to thank y'all this evening for being here on a Thursday night before the 4th of July weekend kicks off. Your flexibility and ability to be here is just very, very much appreciated. Yeah, and it just goes a long way, so thank you very much. I'm also here to tell you that the July 10th Planning Commission meeting has been canceled officially. And I would also just put it on notice, the chances of us having the July 24th meeting are looking pretty slim as well. But we're not at a point where we can officially cancel that. Two other things I'd like to mention is that we're going to get through this next week. We've got a short staff, but when I get back on the 10th, I'm going to be reaching out to y'all. The State Planning Conference registration, early bird registration just opened. So expect contact from me soon to talk about the logistics of that and your ability to participate in it. They are in-person sessions at the Wigwam up in Phoenix. There's also an online aspect to this too, but we'll talk to that coming up. And then finally, what I'd like to do is, we've got some new staff members with us here this evening. We're going through a little bit of a reorganization here, but I just wanted, because we're not going to have, probably not going to have a meeting in July, I wanted you to meet them tonight. And so we have a new planner that's working in our department, who may look familiar to some of y'all because she's usually at the front counter, but Cassandra Rapone is now within our planning division. We're tickled to death to have her with us. We're looking forward to great things with her, and I'm looking forward to her getting to know all of y'all. Sitting next to her is Tyler, who is our summer intern from Cornell University, correct? Who lives in Maricopa, and we're just tickled to death to have him with us. And I got to tell you, not only have we had tremendous success with interns, but we've usually had to go out and find them. This one walked in the front door and asked to come to work for us. And I mean, it's just, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So we've got Tyler here till August 6th. And again, since we're probably not meeting in August, I wanted y'all to get a chance to see him. And I wanted him to experience, a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting as well. I promise you that kid's future is very bright as well. Chairman, that concludes the report from staff. I have nothing further. Again, I would just say thank you again for this evening, and have a safe and happy holiday, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome our new additions to our staff. Yes. Okay. If there's, yes, Commissioner Hughes?
We'd just like to say that I'll be absent of the meeting on July 12th, that I'll be in Hayward, Wisconsin fishing. So,
well, you'd like you said
July 24th.
Okay. Seeing as I am sure we're not in need of an executive session, are we? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So, okay. The meeting is adjourned at 6:32 p.m.